Put some stuff in the chat. I feel like conversing today. Put something in the chat. Let's talk about stuff. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and put something in the chat and talk about it. I'm going to go over a couple of things, but I feel like being social. I know we're happy with price going up a bit, though, since the sacrifice ended. I know that's right. No one put anything in the chat. Nobody got nothing to say. That's strange because usually everybody has something to fucking say, so that's very strange, but okay. Give it some time. go over some stuff, some pulse chain stuff, PTGC. Man, everything's turning around. You gotta love it, especially PTGC and UFO. Whew. You should have scooped those lows because, in my opinion, those were the lows. So if you didn't, if you didn't grab any, man, that might be one of the biggest L's people take on Pulse Chain. That besides holding core coins, that's probably the play that everyone's gonna be like kicking themselves for. Which, by the way, like you would think that to some degree people would appreciate the fact that you would think that they would appreciate the fact that there's like a Trojan horse entryway into people's mind share without it being the founder of Pulse Chain. And there's a lot of usually when something's good, you have tons and tons and tons of people trying to replicate what that thing achieved. Usually. So it's not of any surprise that PTGC and UFO like people have tried to copy that whole well at least PTGC. I don't know about UFO, but there's been a ton of people trying to copy PTGC, and it doesn't. Here's the thing: not only does your game theory like people try to put their own little twist onto things and try to make it better. It's probably not better. It's probably better to you're better off copying the parameters to whatever degree you can and just marketing. If you were trying to compete and really try to, but nobody really does. Everything's like a quick, like, couple days. They'll sit on however much supply chart will go up. People will start dumping. It's happened time and time and time again in other coins. People they've sold off some of their bags, but for the most part, PTGC and UFO has been holding up very strong, especially on a chain that you know the chain hasn't been doing or performing that well the past at least year and a half, at least, right? So you could say longer than that even, but um, yeah. But anyways, people are gonna understand that yes, your thing is going to do well, but then there's also the difference of which game theory which game theory is going to perform better than other people's game theory and what they invest in. That naturally happens. Like you've seen it with things like take Ethereum when Pepe had launched. There was Ethereum maxis that were like meme coins are stupid. I'm not getting into it. It's nothing but a big rug and this, that, and the third. And then if you were to have, to some degree, leveraged Ethereum for supply of Pepe, and at the very start, really early and whatever, um, you had a better chance of getting more Ethereum at the end of the day, and that's all it really is. Everything's about is if you're on a network, you want to have some sort of stake in that network. If you're not validating, or if you don't have enough to validate, then you're going off into speculative at what other speculative plays are on chain and stuff like that. So that's the whole game theory of L1s. It's not just Richard's chain, it's every chain out there. People they see the network token, they're like, okay, network token will do good, fine, whatever. But what's going to outperform due to its own game theory? The supply, the liquidity, who owns what supply? How do you incentivize people from holding their supply, holding onto their supply while at the same time as maybe incentivizing, burns and stuff like that. That's everyone's going to have their own way of trying to keep holders from selling, right? But not often does it work. Most of the time, it doesn't work. Um, I think Hex was a success on both chains because there's still people that are staked like 15 years out. They haven't early unstaked or anything like that. So I wouldn't say Hex has ever been a failure. It just hasn't performed well in price appreciation. That's it. People are still buying it though. Like people are still staking, but um, people do whatever they want with the supply at the time until like they just get priced out. So the people that were having a field day the last however many years, 2 years, from selling off their supply, whether it was through rolling stakes or whether they just had like a ton of supply that they were sitting on liquid and they're just going to offload it. Eventually, those people are going to get priced out and they're not going to have that opportunity to keep doing that to the price. So at the end of the day, um, when new floors are raised, you're getting new people, new onboards who are coming in at a certain price point that they want to see returns on. And unfortunately, for a lot of people didn't understand to the degree that if you were early for the sacrifice of Pulse X, and you already started out with a good amount of hex, you're probably not too thrilled with the action that's being, the price appreciation. But, at the end of the day, when price goes up and then you're happy and then you sell, um, you know, it, a whole different other group of people are taking your spot basically in terms of how they're going to, their urgency to market, all of that stuff, because you already seen a lot of gains, right? So you're not as pressed. Let's say you have a good amount of supply to where, you can take profits whenever. It's not as like necessary to try to catch the top and stuff like that. The cycle is going to continue all over again. Like what we've experienced, like us individuals who have been here from the start, there's going to be other people that come in and take our spot. Like that's just how things work. The same person who's hoping the Bitcoin price goes up wasn't the same person last cycle, most likely. So, and that's the same with every other coin. For the majority of people who hold and they're looking to sell, at a good, you know, price appreciation level. But if you're long, it doesn't really matter. You're not really pressed on like, okay, this cycle, what you're already kind of looking out like, 2 cycles out, 3 cycles out, some people, right? So but I do understand I understand the want to see price appreciation happen in your asset. That's normal. So that's a normal thing. So let's just go ahead and deep dive into this. Let's see. Am I seeing this? That's not it. Let's see. Okay, so let's get into it. So what we have right here. adjust things on my end. Apologize. All right. So new PTGC website looks pretty cool. Um, Running off IPFS, which stands for inter. What's it called? Interplanetary. Oh, this is gonna bug me. I should know this. I don't like. I just let's see. This is gonna bug me that I can't remember. I should know this. Interplanetary filing system, file system. Okay, so this is basic. This is what Hex uses. This is what PulseX uses. Um, so as long as you have access to the internet, basically, you can go ahead and run this code, and you can do everything as decentralized as you possibly could. Okay. Um, what we're gonna go deep dive into is the calculator because a it's interesting. B who doesn't like going over some numbers because I think this is important for people to understand why um, I look at PTGC and UFO the way I do. Um, I also think too that when it comes down to why you're an investor in something, you look for how is the asset doing paired with the network token. So typically, you look for assets that are, you know, outperforming the network token, right? So PTGC has been outperforming the network token. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna run some numbers that I like putting into perspective. So as of right now, PTGC's ratio is roughly uh, nine, roughly over 9 pulse per one PTGC. So how the X factor plays in is basically where do you like this is all predictions, right? Like none of this is financial advice, by the way. Read the disclaimer below. um, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not someone that you should seek out to for financial advice. However, this is my opinion, and I'm just showcasing my own belief system, right? And mind you, numbers are backing it up, but I'm not saying by any stretch that you need to sell your house and buy PTGC. But if you are somebody that you're looking for longevity plays inside of cryptocurrency, PTGC definitely ranks up there along with Richard Hart core coins. So we're going to run through scenarios because who doesn't like that? So as of right now, we're roughly at between a 9 and 10 wrapped pulse per PTGC or pulse, 10 pulse per one PTGC. So the paired token, which the paired address, that's the pulse address, we're going to we're going to play around with some numbers uh, based on previous experiences in the PTGC uh, life. It's lifetime, right? Like we're going out. What was the action moves of PTGC the last however 2 years or so, right? 2 years and some change. Um, so at its all-time high, its all-time high in that factor was 22, and at the time, right? We're gonna plug in old numbers. So we're going with the all-time high with the ratio being 22. Uh, Pulse per one PTGC, and then we're going with the the paired token price target. Like what can Pulse go to, right? Or we're just plugging in. If this happens, then this happens, sort of example. So let's be ultra bearish on Pulse. Let's say Pulse can only get back to really its previous all-time high, which is 301 going into 302 range, right? So we're just gonna say that the Pulse only goes to three zeros and a two. Okay. But we're keeping the 22 X factor on there because we're being bearish, right? So if Pulse is all time high, which I do think bearish case scenario, this is definite, like not definite, nothing's definite, right? But if you were a betting person, the odds rolling into Pulse doing at least a three zeros and a two is extremely likely, in my opinion, like extremely likely. So you can only assume that if Pulse basically just does a 10x, right? And the factor, the X factor doesn't increase, right? The ratio between Pulse and PTGC is all time high. It only gets to the all time high. It doesn't go any higher than that. Okay. So we're being very bearish and conservative right now, but this is going to open a lot of people's eyes, in my opinion. Let's see. Oh, do I need to share the whole thing? Let's see. I shouldn't. No, I shouldn't have to. Trying to see. I want you guys to see this. Let's see. Calculate. There we go. There we go. See? Okay, guys. So I basically ran through the scenario that basically Pulse only goes to three zeros and a two, right? That's it, right? Three zeros and a two. Ultra bearish. Oh my gosh, Richard Hart didn't do the 10,000x. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. That's the worst case scenario. Um, Even still, though, right? Like when you see a 4 cent PTGC, and that's basically just doing what it had done before with the price appreciation of Pulse. You're going like right there. This is again not financial advice, and this isn't 100% accurate, but in theory, PTGC's next overall target should be within the penny to multiple pennies um, in the next leg up in terms of where is price going in the more immediate future than 10 years from now. So this is, in my opinion, again, not financial advice. This is very, very doable because you're only getting an 11x out of. I mean, basically, you're basically getting an 11x from Pulse. So adding on top of where that ratio was before at its all time high, you know, that's 4 cents. Now let's do some more. Let's do some other numbers, right? So let's say Pulse doesn't even get to its previous all time high range. Let's add another zero and just go back to before where they were at. So we're riding with the same formula that has happened before in the past, right? So that 22 pulse per one PTGC, right? That all-time high. And then we only get pulse going to where it's basically its all-time high was when this ratio was at a 22 to 1. Okay. So let's look at the new numbers now. And even and guys, even right here, basically all Pulse has to do is go back to where it was 6 months ago, and you could be staring at a still even a penny to multiple pennies PTGC price. And this isn't, this is basically just insinuating that you get the same X factor, right? Now let's be even more bearish. Let's do it because the moon math is good. I like moon math too. We'll go over that too. But I'm expressing to you that this is a very bearish scenario to come up in my opinion. So let's say we remain at a 10 to 1 on the X factor. So 10 pulse per 1 PTGC. And pulse is still only four zeros and a six. So we're just rallying back to what we did 6 months ago, basically. Um, well, was it about 6 months ago or about 8 months ago? So when PTGC had its all time high, Pulse was around four zeros and a six, maybe four zeros and a seven. I'm not exactly sure, but it was somewhere around here. But we're still being bearish, right? So from here, Pulse only goes to 406, and the ratio maintains around the same. So let's do it. Calculate it. I mean, oh man, that's great. That's still like 50% of a penny. Man, oh man, my bags would be crazy. No. uh, Great thing is though is like um, PTGC is kind of like it's like a hex 2.0 for me. Like I really like I like staking tokens. I think keeping yourself from harming yourself by when hex came out and you're staking your hex. I liked that, but I cannot lie. I really wish hex had PTGC's parameters because I just think they're a little bit the game theory on it is just a tad better, in my opinion. Because I think with PTGC and and Hex, like I feel like PTGC was like if Hex and PulseX and INC decided to have this weird three way and like make kids, like that's what basically that's what it is. Code wise, which is if I like all three of those, or let's say PTGC is basically just Hex and PulseX, mixed together. Those are two of my favorite RH tickers. So like obviously, I'm sold. I'm sold on it. And how much paired liquidity there is? There's tons of paired liquidity. On the Pulse side, there's roughly around 25 billion Pulse in that LP, which is worth roughly close to a $500,000 even right now, being so low. But look at this, guys. Like, look at that. You're telling me we can't hit two zeros, 5 6? If anything, we could probably 10x that, in my opinion. Not financial advice, again. But these are like video game numbers that I'm about to show you that is definitely within the realm of possibility if you think Pulse is going to perform well. So let's get into it. Let's say Pulse has an epic comeback. And let's say that epic comeback results in a two zeros and a one. Okay. two zeros and a one. So it just blow, at some point after sacrifice prices or that range where people, the price range that most people technically like sacrificed for, right? Let's say we immediately 10x out of that range, and now we're sitting at that two zeros and one, right? And let's say, so while that 10x, let's say the ratio from that 22 to 1, let's say it only did a 2x from that point, which isn't even correct because mathematically I think it's literally impossible. I think it would be higher. But unless everyone just started more people started selling, then I guess the ratio would factor itself out. But in theory, you would say that if Pulse got to that high of a price point, and you would just, in my opinion, you would assume that at bare minimum that X factor from its all time high, where now mind you, this is when Pulse was at four zeros in a six or a seven range or whatever. But we're saying like, the paired asset performed well, so that only enhances the X multiplier for PTGC because it's deflationary, because there's a lot of tokens staked and locked. So let's do a 2x on its all-time high for that ratio. Let's say it's at a 44 to 1 now. Okay. We're going to get into, this is where we start getting into video game territory. Boom. 41-cent PTGC. So basically, keep in mind, I want to express to people, when people see when they see that Pulse is what's it called? When they see Pulse at two zeros and a one, right? Some people would say, well, that's still not a 10,000x. So you have to factor in the 10,000x because it's going to happen. So already with Pulse basically just doing a 10x from its all time high, which in theory is still relatively terrible for a first cycle L1. So this isn't even telling the full story in my opinion, but you're looking at this and you're going, wow. So basically, Pulse performing, barely performing, and PTGC basically just doing what it's been doing, while Pulse even shows a little bit of a pulse, no pun intended. You're getting basically now factoring in sell pressure and all that stuff. I mean, that is a significant jump, right? And if you were to have been in PTGC since the beginning, and let's say you got some really, really good dollar cost averaging while price was still relatively lower than what it is right now, even too. You, that could be your, so the way I look at it is PTGC and UFO are kind of like the really, really filling appetizer before the main course, if you know what I'm saying. So if PTGC and UFO have these epic runs, I think it'll happen first. I think they're gonna front run the core coins in terms of performance because that's kind of like what they're designed to do, anyways. So and let's showcase the banana zone. Shout out to Prairie Banana. Make sure you subscribe, like, share. He's got good content around PTGC and UFO. He dedicates his life basically to it. So, make sure you like and subscribe. Really, really nice guy. I talked to him in Telegram and stuff like that. I recently purchased the PTGC book, the hardcover. I ain't doing no soft cover. Fuck out of here. And some people would be like, "Oh, you could have just used that put money into PTGC and pump the chart. Yeah, I could have, but here's the thing: I don't need to. I got my I got my ranges where I accumulated. I'm fine. I am chilling. I can't wait. I look when it comes to taking profits. Just because you take profits doesn't mean you have to like empty your clip, right? So yes, that is taking profits like very exciting for me to to look forward to with my coins. Yes, because everyone takes profits, just about everybody, right? I'm a big proponent in you shouldn't you shouldn't ever be out of a decent sized league position though. So there needs to be room for you to take profits and then have a nice stack for future cycles moving forward, because that way you're making all of your heavier purchases when things are cheaper, when nobody wants them, when everyone thinks it's a scam and it's going to zero. You make those heavier purchases at those times because when people acknowledge what you have, that's not really the best time to buy it. Like there's going to be a ton of people that may have told people about coins like PTGC, UFO, PulseX, Hex. There's going to be a ton of these people that they like when the coin had already made moves, and that is what it is. That's just the human psychology in a nutshell, right? Like people don't like to speculate. They're in a very tough time in the economy right now where they don't have a lot of money to just try to, speculate and gamble on. So, unfortunately, those people that thought that it was better to stay out than in, they're going to be the ones that are chasing things much higher than they are now. And in that process, a ton of you are going to take profits, and a ton of you will probably have some supply left over to where you don't really necessarily have to worry about it. And honestly, the game theory with PTGC is if you want to accumulate units, you got to stake and lock, flat out, right? Like that is the most efficient way you're going to do so without buying a ton of it, right? So I expressed to people earlier on, I said, even in the summertime when price was relatively a little higher, I still see the potential for UFO and PTGC to just really just take off. Well before the core coins really even had made noticeable gains, right? Like I think a lot of this ecosystem will wake up by the time Pulse gets back to like 4 zeros in a 6 range. But by then, PTGC is like a penny, or it's close to it. And then what are people going to do? They're going to want to chase they're going to want to chase something that had done really really well. And then that's only going to enhance the FOMO when core coins are starting to do well. PTGC is probably going to do multiple pennies. UFO is probably going to be very very close to 10% of a penny. And oh man, there's so much opportunity here. It's literally crazy. But all right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to assume the X multiplier stays consistent and it only does a 2X from its all time high, right? But let's say Pulse has its epic run and it goes to that penny mark. That is where I think a lot of people, that would be like if you didn't sell anything or take profits by then, if Pulse is a penny, Lord only knows what Pulse X is at that point. Pulse X is probably a couple of pennies if Pulse is a penny. Hex is multiple like oof. Think of how expensive Hex would have to be too. Man, oh man. So all right, so we're gonna do the math. Plug it in. Over 26,000 X from here. That would be an epic run. That would be so epic. And keep in mind, guys, sell pressure isn't included. You know, you have to kind of just you have to try to just do your best with guesstimation and how heavy people are going to be taking profits, and also considering that what if this person who has a lot of supply, what if they don't need to necessarily dump like every other ecosystem and meme coin person with a ton of supply? What if they don't need to do that? And that's what we're about to get into, right? Like we're going to get into why I think price can appreciate at a much much more massive rate than even what I'm advertising um, for like the medium outcomes. Because remember, I said the medium outcomes most likely, you know, it's probably going to look something like this, right? Like it's probably medium outcome. So as you can see, I'm just doing the all time highs of basically everything. The X factor for what PTGC had done, and the paired token price. And that is giving you still opportunity. Tons and tons and tons of opportunity. Should we do UFO? Oh no, let's not get to UFO yet. Let's do the volume. No, let's do the reward. My bad. I'm thinking like for whatever reason, like obviously, like if you're a holder to some degree, you make money off volume. So it's like you know I got confused. But anywho, let's okay because I like to talk to people who are lower level. So I'm gonna do just a lower level amount of PTGC, right? So let's say somebody mustered up a couple dollars and they're holding a total of 10 million PTGC. That's still, for some people, that's a lot of money to have in cryptocurrency for some people. But that this is pretty achievable if you were um, somebody who had like a couple grand in crypto. Like so, this is pretty achievable, and this is kind of like the audience that I feel like I'm talking to is what more lower level people. So I'm gonna represent their case and um, examples than I am. So somebody with a lot of supply, and let's say they're staking a quarter of it. So let's say they're staking 2.5 million. Okay, and let's also say let's do this. So when it comes to this volume calculator, this is dollars. Okay, so if you had, um, is it dollars? I feel like it is dollars, but if it's, yeah, I think it is dollars. So let's say, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's dollars. Let's say right here in daily volume, somebody who is, has 10 million coins, they're staked, 2.5 million. And let's say volume is at a million because this has happened. This was achieved before, right? We're gonna do we're gonna do the week. Well, let's start out with the weekly. Okay. Let's- So the reward that you're getting. your total holdings is 10 million PTGC. You're only staking a quarter of your holdings, and at while this is happening, there's $1 million daily volume in PTGC, and this is on the weekly time span. So as of right now, as per what the asset is worth, you're earning $3.27, which is roughly 11%. If you're somebody who has a lower dollar cost amount and but their time horizon is much longer and it goes deeper into the future, you could look at this and go, could you see PTGC going to $1 in 10 years after what I showcased? It seems like it could be in the cards, right? So, with that being said, further down the line, you have to think of it like this. And I really wish there was like a little bit more statistic. I mean, it's a really good calculator, so I'm not. But it would help to see like what in today's prices, what how much tokens that would be, because then I could relate that $3. Well, I could do it right now. I could do it right now. Give me 1 second. Do it right now. So let's do $3.27. So if you're of the mindset that if if these numbers were to stay consistent for 10 years and price of PTGC in that 10 years goes to $1, then in theory on a weekly basis, in tokens, you would be getting 21,800 tokens. Doesn't seem like a lot because it only amounts to $3.27. I understand that. I understand that. But again, you know, if you're somebody that's looking at it from a time horizon down the road, this could be, this could be your gateway into you like DeFi and you like yield accumulating. So why not, right? Why not take a stab in the dark at it? Um, should I do UFO? Actually, interesting enough, if in UFO terms, if you had the same supply, uh, you actually earn more APY. So if you're somebody who has 300,000 worth of PTGC and you decide you want $300,000 worth of UFO, technically you're getting more APY and the asset appreciation, in my opinion, you're getting more units. As that asset appreciates, uh, you could offload lesser units to take profit in, and while at the same time is you're earning from just holding UFO, and if you have your UFO in LP, so that's pretty cool statistics. I like it a lot. All right, so really cool site. I really like the site. I like that the community is really it's showing why you really shouldn't have a bias on math, and I appreciate that because I don't like being I don't like being told stuff that isn't true, and with PTGC, like the truth is well within the code, and um, you just look at the past, right? Like you can see patterns of behavior. It just doesn't benefit somebody with a lot of supply to offload like that. It really doesn't. You're missing out on key yield opportunities, and yeah, so what if the price appreciation fluctuates and whatever? If you're long and you're able to access your yield, and if you wanted to, take profits using your yield, or if you're, restaking and relocking that yield, and you're effectively earning more APY by having ladders and stuff like that, that could be an option too. So Cool, 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 cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and check out the price of Pulse. Let's go from the all-time lows. Let's see what we're working with. Okay, not terrible. It's a little lower than when I looked this morning, but I guess you could just view it as like buying opportunity too if you really wanted to. But Hex making its comeback. Hex making its comeback. Uh, I'm pretty sure this is when the around the time the ProveX sacrifice was announced. So the fact that we fell like 50% off of that was bullish. I know a lot of people didn't think it was. I thought it was. Um, Sacrifices, it's like I said, it depends. Like I could have joined that one pool where, um, they were technically the pool was so large that, you know, basically if you'd have just went into that pool, um, rather than going by yourself, you would have done better, right? Because of that multiplier that they had attached to when they sacrificed for that in that pool. So um, threw a couple shekels at it. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying how much I got or what my points would add up to, but um, we'll see. I did. I look. Could there be an opportunity to scoop some at a lower price? Probably, right? So I'm not gonna, go into my assets that I'm already down, you know, across the board like 60% on. Like why would I capitulate that to go into a sacrifice? Like that doesn't make nor should you have, in my opinion. I don't think that was the main message for people to offload their pulse bags for the sacrifice. I think the sacrifice was it was going to happen either way, whether people got into it or not. I think the OA would have definitely still stepped in, and all that ETH would have been, he would have definitely probably had like still most of the supply anyways. So however many tokens it has, it's irrelevant. So yeah, that was gonna happen anyways. So yeah, whatever happened with the sacrifice, like nobody could have. I don't think anybody could have like really done anything slick or let's see the other pricey stuff. I mean, Pulse X is still a really good buy in my opinion. Technically, Pulse is the better buy. Yeah, technically. Yeah, Pulse is the better buy technically. People are gonna. I'm not saying that people are gonna. It's not that people are sleeping on the gas token. We all. I mean, at least in my opinion, I think Pulse can easily take out two zeros. Can easily take out those two zeros from where it's at right now. So that's 100x. Yeah, Pulse can 100x. Validate, whatever you want to throw at me, why it can't do at least that. I would probably still say that it does 100x. Some people are very bearish. Some people think that a 50x is like, too far out of too far out of the picture now. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What? You start saying stuff like that when Pulse is at like when it already did the 100x, right? Like you don't say it like people are funny. I don't think people are really as bearish as they put out there either. I really don't. I think some people put on a nice like little act and like let's say for an example like they're really not lying about how they feel. Like they're very irritated, they're frustrated. I don't think they're capitulating. The chart really didn't. There really wasn't that much capitulation if you think about it. To comparatively to how loud and noisy and annoyed the community is, like it's just people letting off their that's their safe space when they come on X and when they're on YouTube and they want to talk very negatively. Like this is their space to do so, but I don't think anyone buys it. And if you do believe it, then I don't know what to tell you. You're a lost cause at that point because not speculating on RH ecosystem is basically like you saying um, there's going to be something else that does better, and I just would like to know what that is. Not something that already has ran. I want like what is in line with the same amount of opportunity as the RH ecosystem. I mean, let alone PTGC and UFO. I'm just saying in general, like what are you going to present to me where the 100x plus seems very likely? You really can't. Really can't do it. All right. Let's get into some stuff. So I thought this was interesting, and I wanted to bring it up while I was here. Um, 13 hours ago, somebody from the MetaMask team, when Richard had, I guess he was using other alt wallets on different networks, maybe, and he was trying to sacrifice, and they were giving him issues, and yeah, they said right there, all warnings from this message and others should be resolved. So the fact that you have people from MetaMask basically um, interacting with RH and being friendly, yeah, that's a good sign. That and dude, there's tons of bullish stuff. Like if you just look back, like imagine like a year ago, and you found out what we were saying today. Like what is sentiment today when you already know everything? Mass marketing campaign, SEC case wrapped up, uh, the Ethereum rolled through Tornado Cash, right? The ProveX sacrifice, the macro in general. Like, there's so much to be bullish on, guys, that it's honestly crazy that people don't feel the same as me. And again, you can be your own person, obviously. Like, you're gonna have your own thoughts and whatever, but it really is amazing to me that more people aren't like in panic mode, like, okay, we need to tie up our DCAs because at any given moment we could be priced out. So if you're somebody with a good amount of supply and you're doing your daily $50,000 bridge outs and stuff, eventually, and again, if you only have so many coins to sell before you're gonna have to start buying it again, and that's when the real fun happens is when people who were a nuisance this entirety of the chain being live and whatever, when you just start to see them just in cope mode, panic mode, catching up mode because they sold off their positions thinking they were believing Bitcoin maximalists saying it's over. They're like, whatever, I'll just capitulate now and use this as a tax write off and I'll buy back in a year. whatever people were saying, and then it's like you're just gonna get so priced out, and you're gonna chase. You're gonna chase. You think those people being as vocal as they are when price doesn't start to run, you think that they're not going to be first to be like, I need to go to Kraken or I need to go to Coinbase and I need to. Where's that Liberty Swap link again? Oh no! Oh no! The bridge, it's backed up. I'm not going to get the prices I wanted. It's going to happen. It's more likely to happen than this ecosystem failing. I'll tell you that much. And then as they're buying and they're running up, they're running up the chart. Oh, this is going to go on forever. They got a good amount of audience too, because it's well, who I'm primarily talking about. It's going to be people that for the most part are just out of the ecosystem. So like your famous YouTubers or your streamers or whatever, like the people who always poo poo on us, they're going to be bull posting and making tons and tons of videos and streams about you know this is going to be the next biggest thing, because then they rebought back in, and then they're the ones doing the free marketing too by setting price even higher, because then we're getting the mind share of their followers, like those people who probably didn't know anything about Pulse this entire time, and then when they see people like Ivan on Tech and uh, Crypto Wendy and whoever you want to say, right, like that to me, that's when the top is probably going to be in for our ecosystem, is when Wendy is having Richard on and Ivan on Tech is having Richard on their stream, and they're just like, Pulse chain is going, it's going parabolic and da 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 da. And this is why I always had a little bit of belief, even that they're gonna start lying, and they're gonna start doing that thing where the whole time they were shitting on us, now they're acting like they've always been our biggest supporters and cope. And then you got some weirdo like me who I'm laughing in the background, like listening to like 70s classic music, just like cashing out. Ding ding ding. I'm joking, I'm joking, I'm joking. Not really. I will take profits, but it's not anywhere anytime soon, I would think. Unless we just got like 10,000 X God candles, then I'm sorry guys. I had to do it. But put something in the chat. I'm tired of rambling. I want to have some discussion. Ask me anything within reason. Even if you guys do your little like, what do you think this coin does? What do you think? If I like it, I might talk about it. If I don't like it, probably not. But for the most part, because we're so locked in with the into the liquidity web, it's like if Pulse does well, everything's probably going to do well until a certain point, until somebody who has a lot of supply decides they don't want that supply anymore. And what do you guys think of the rebrand? I went from extra PulseX to Xtra Crypto. Felt like it was a necessary change. Updated my worldview. This is like this is like when Bitcoin Hex and then it just became Hex. This is like my transition, and just like this is just extra, because Extra PulseX is cool, but like I own more coins than PulseX, so like I don't, like it's just it gets exhausting only talking about one coin. It gets really really hella exhausting. and it's boring too because it's not even how everyone invests. Like, you got more than one coin. Come on, give me a fucking break. Unless like you're one of those like die hard hexicans where you just have like a shitload of hex and nothing else. Oh, I mean, I'm not faulting anyone who that's their game plan. It's just it's funny to actually like see like, wow, you don't own any pulse X. Why? You don't own any INC. Why? You don't own any pulse. Why? You kind of need it, but whatever. Do you think asking just randomly? I wonder if ehex actually brings over people to pulse chain. That is like the biggest question mark I have in terms of like some of the pros and cons of both hexes. I mean, obviously, I think ehex is it's going to do fine, but I just believe that pulse chain's version of hex is going to be better because why wouldn't it? Um, but yeah, I know some people they get their little feelings about it, so I won't try to be that guy today, but um, that ratio is looking pretty dangerous. E-hexers, it's looking pretty dangerous. That ratio probably could 10 to 1 on you real fucking quick, if not multiple. And that's gonna be the interest. That's gonna be the exciting times of like, well, now it's gonna be funny for me because I want to see like I really want Hex on Pulse Chain to just run so hard that like even the E Hexers, the diehard E Hexers, are like, guys, I was wrong. I believed this whole time. I wasn't sitting here fighting the shit out of Pulse version of Hex this entire time. Funny. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. Do me a favor. Like, who the fuck else do you guys listen to? Like, I know there's really smart people out here. There's really smart streamers and whatever, but like, who else? Like, who else do you listen to? Give me an idea. Crypto Coffee's cool. I'm saying YouTube, right? Like, Crypto Coffee's cool. There's a couple other people that are cool too, but RH Max is cool. I mean, basically, like, there isn't a ton of people I dislike. It's just mm, there's stuff that I don't feel is like it's not worth like just dragging out there in the streets like that. It's better to just let people just have their own opinion, right? It's just if you like this individual, whatever, right? So, but yeah. Mm, let's I feel like people are gonna try to copy the GTA swag so hard, and I'm gonna be so upset when that happens. Because then people who are gonna have like bigger channels and stuff, people are gonna be like, "Wow, see, that looks cool," and then I'm gonna be sitting there like, "Wow, cool, 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 cool." Put some stuff in the chat. Let's see. Let's talk about some stuff. I'm tired of talking to myself. I'm trying, but well, yeah. I mean, I had to use a different account because my ex account was banned for whatever stupid reason. So I made a dummy account, and then finally, when I decided that I was gonna do the whole like X thing again, I just went ahead and made like an extra crypto account too, just to stay locked in with like news and stuff like that. Like I don't really post on there anymore or anything like that. Yeah, how long was I doing this for? I don't know, guys, but you better put something in the chat, or else I'm outie. If you ain't got nothing to talk about, then there ain't nothing to talk about. All right. I'm out of here. Thank you for the people who are deciding to watch this after. Um, Again, make sure you please like, share, subscribe, comment. Um, doing these videos, it's all still new to me, right? So I'm trying to still find like that even keel ground of like talking about stuff, remembering to talk about certain stuff. I need to start writing notes down and stuff, I guess. But I thought it was pretty interesting when I went over the PTGC, the new website, and the volume calculator along with the price appreciation calculator. Um, there is an incentive reward program uh, for people, new people who buy if they use the incentive link that I'm going to soon have. Um, that will help me basically. Um, it'll be funds allocated from the DAO, and I think it is 2% of whatever someone at first. I think if it's 2% for it's either 1 or 2% for however much money you onboard. So I believe if somebody buys $1 million worth of PTGC and they use my future incentive link that I'm going to have soon, I just haven't made a wallet or anything for that yet. I'll have it posted on my channel, so that'd be pretty cool. It's a nice little incentive for people to get onboarded into figuring out like what things even are too, right? Like, um, and even if no one uses the incentive program, which I'm not really like, that's not why I'm making videos or anything like that. It's just an extra bonus if I'm the reason that you decided that this is a good ecosystem to go into. That's basically like the DAO's way of incentivizing more people onboarding, more people potentially hopefully um, staking and locking, and then earning the passive yield income that the system was you know designed to do. Right, it's designed to hold up the price, and at the same time is letting you access some of that appreciation, right, via claiming your yield, um, and even if you decide you don't want to stake, you don't want to lock, you just want to hold your tokens uh, just in your wallet, you're getting reflections. So um, there's a bunch of different game theories you could have, but my main one is get a lot of supply. This is me, not financial advice for you. This is for me. I like getting things really cheap, getting a lot of it for cheap, and then for example, like what I do with Hex. I don't plan to really benefit from Hex. Really, even I will benefit a little bit for this cycle. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but a mass majority of my Hex is more or less like me delaying that gratification for X amount of years down the road. And I have different ladders for that, and as I you know would recommend everyone else having ladders, because you never know. Like, maybe you got a good amount that's coming out every so often, so it's not really a big deal for you to have to access your principal like that, and that saves you from yourself, right? Because let's say you sell the asset and it appreciated, but you ended up selling a lot of it, and the price doesn't dip down 99%. It only dips to 50, 60, 70%, and then from then on it just continues to go up. So you don't want to be priced out completely on your position, and think about the price where it is down the road too. Like, you've seen what PTGC and UFO have done already. So even with a glimpse of success from the chain, and especially when that buy and burn function, and people are utilizing pulse sex, and you know that'll just then help PTGC and UFO. So if you think that PulseX is the best corked coin because it has the best features to incentivize price go up, then you should really love PTGC and UFO, because they're gonna do really well, even just from PulseX, even doing well without the ecosystem itself doing anything. So, and just imagine when that X multiplier happens. Like, you could be staring at like we did the numbers earlier. You could be staring at the X multiplier that we were based off of at the all time high, which was a 22 to 1, and price basically just does a 10x. You're staring at pennies. You're staring at pennies of PTGC. Where's price at now? Fairly cheap, even still. If there's any 100x that is like probably the probably the easiest to predict, and you're of the belief that the core coins are gonna at least do something. Like they're not gonna go any lower, but at least to the sideways, if not just a little bit up. Then there you go. So, but again, none of it's financial advice. It's my opinion. That's it. I even spoke earlier that technically, if PTGC's rate ratio on Pulse just at a 2x, that's and Pulse just did a 10x. That would be crazy, crazy. And think of how much now, and think of it like this, right? So if you're stake and locked and you have that discipline to you're like, okay, I'm here, so like whatever happens happens, kind of like with the hex stuff, right? Except I think you would probably end up with more yield, in my opinion, from PTGC because I think some people will just bite the bullet and eat that 30%. I really do think like that. There isn't going to be a lot. There isn't going to be a lot of people with a lot of supply that sell, but there's probably going to be a good amount that they have so much supply and they've built up their staking ladder so much that they're going to want to take some off the top, and that's just markets. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, no, all the whales in PTGC we're holding forever. Uh, uh, no, there's going to be some sell pressure, but you benefit from that if you're staked and locked, and like you're inheriting some of that supply, so you're growing your bags. So, all right, if no one's got anything for me in chat, which I don't know why, like seriously, like you got nothing, nothing. There's nothing you want to say at all. No questions. No, none of that. For real? I wish new people like I really want like whoever's like the three people in here. I hope that they're new people. I don't want them affiliated with like I really wish that they weren't pulse chain people because then it's like I can fresh ears, right? Like someone who wants to learn something, right? You don't have to be soiled by going to crypto Twitter and looking at all the god awful, disgusting things people are saying out of basic anger or whatever. Right? Look, price going down, it affects your emotions. Cool, just like everyone else, right? Like no one here, at least that I'm aware of, is sitting here. Oh, I got you know, unless you were in other stuff, right? Like if you're just holding the core coins, it's like everyone's down, bro. Except for like if you pivoted and you're in good slingshot leverage plays on chain, uh, you're not doing so hot if you didn't pivot. And I never pivoted like my original positions. I pivoted my DCA, like where I was putting more dollar cost averaging into, like what areas. I would never. Oh man, I would never roll over my hex, my pulse X, my INC. None of that. Never. That would suck. That would suck so bad. Those are like my legacy plays. Like I don't want to sell. Like I really don't want to sell any of my pulse X this cycle. If I'm keeping it a buck with you, no pun intended. I'm not. Yeah, no. Like there's positions where I'm like, no, that's legacy right there. No way. No way. But my strategy is different. Like I'm not I'm not some of these guys that are, tossing in $1,000 and hoping for a prayer, right? Like I'm more like long term minded, and I value like accumulation of units, and yeah, I don't have the same. I view this as a game. I really do, and that's why I kind of wanted to switch up my brand the way I did, is because I'm like I feel like I'm in a GTA game, even all just already right now, because everything's online, everything, crypto, Twitter, YouTube. Like my reality is not any sort of like this. It's more like business as usual. Get it, going to school and getting my degree still. Which, by the way, you don't need to go to school. I mean, you just don't. Yeah, yeah. Who's this? Acid Thunder. Yeah, it probably is. Probably is. And that's to be expected too. Like I just figured that whatever little people were here, they would want to put something in the chat, ask questions. But yeah, no, you're probably absolutely right. Uh, I didn't think everyone was going to catch on, but hopefully, the more that I streamed, people would catch on. I guess people. That's how it all started. Was when I was like hosting spaces on X. So people just saw my PFP and just heard my voice anyways. So I mean, this is kind of like a new way into different like mind share of different variety of people. Felt like I was just really just in an echo chamber on Twitter, if I'm being honest with you. And that's cool and that's great to be embraced by the community and stuff. It's just like I want to talk to new people. I want to talk to people that I want to see where others are headspace at. Like I want to do like more onboarding to like new people. Like I want to talk to that new person who is telling me XRP is better than Pulse Chain. Like that's the type of person I want to communicate with. The more you do it, the more it will come. Yep. Yeah, just being consistent, and that's all on me. I have to be consistent. The reason I really wasn't as active through the winter so far is because I have some time away from school, and I decided to travel and stuff. So decided to take the winter break and see some family. Just just fuck around. It's so funny though because I remember it was it was either the day before New Year's Eve or it was New Year's Eve, and I remember just I never looked at the price chart like I was since like before Christmas I think, and then when I looked I was like, "Do, do, 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 do. Woo, woo, woo." Straight to the laptop. Gotta buy more. Gotta buy more. If I was in high school right now and I was getting the regular like Christmas presents and stuff like I used to get, I would I would just sell it and I would buy crypto. If I in hindsight, like if I could do it all over again, that's probably what I would do. Because they were giving like my Christmases were kind of like they were weird. Like one side of my family wanted to do just gifts, and then the other side wanted to do like just money. So there was no like real thought. It was just here's like $400. Now, you know, leave me alone for like a month. So, but looking back, it's like, do you know how much like opportunity I could have had? Like, oh man, and people were talking about it too. Even when I was in school, um, there I remember specifically in 2014. 2014. I think it was like the end of my junior year, I think, in high school. And I remember people were like, "Bro, Bitcoin." And I remember like, "What about Bitcoin? Like what?" They're like, "Dog, this is gonna this is gonna replace money and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, all right, cool deal, bud. Come come tell me how everything worked out for you after." And then sure as shit, like I'm like, I haven't talked to that person ever since. They told me they were buying Bitcoin. Wonder what they're doing. They're probably living on a fucking private island or something. My luck. I did 10-year stakes for all my family 5 years ago. Nice. That's cool. That's really cool. They got a family and stuff like that too. I mean, like that in 10 years from now, I think we're looking at a whole different landscape for the better. Like I really do. Like price might be wherever it is, but from where people are getting in now, it's like a no brainer. So you definitely, definitely did the right thing, in my opinion. Anyways, like I'm sure you think that too, but yeah, I don't have to worry about that stuff yet. Um, no family, no wife, no girlfriend. I'm just like, yeah, I'm freshly out of a relationship um, within the last like 6 months or so. So I've been, more in the gym, more in crypto. Just kind of like doing the atypical like focusing on me. Yeah, not too much. Just like an Xmas present. Oh, that's cool. When I was in the military, I definitely remember more people getting like privy to Bitcoin and stuff like that. It's just it still was one of those things that most people just didn't talk about, even in like the time I'm talking, which is like so. I told the story on crypto Twitter, like when I used to host spaces, but um, when I was exiting the military, I got medically retired out. So part of part of how that process works is like you get like a lump sum of money, right? Sometimes, and if you did, it was either a check basically that was cut straight to your account the first month you were out of service, or you could have opted in and you could have got some Bitcoin. And I remember like I remember asking like how is that even possible? Like Bitcoin, why would you even want it? Like how does the government, and I guess like it was just like, if I was one of those like crypto dudes, they would have gotten away with just giving me some of their stockpile from Silk Row, maybe. Because I think all the Bitcoin they had is 100% seized. I don't think they bought any of it. So they were going to give me seized Bitcoin. You definitely do have to set yourself up first, which is why I'm kicking myself that I didn't take the one point so and so whatever Bitcoin that was offered to me in 2019, and instead I took the cash like a dumbass. And I went through that cash so fast too. It's so like knowing what I know now, it's like criminal. It literally is so criminally insane how I was looking at stuff when I was. When did I get out? I was 22. Yeah, I was 22 years old with 20 bands instead of like 1 point whatever Bitcoin that I could have had. Yeah, I got into Bitcoin because I hit yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't understand. I didn't understand it, and there really wasn't a need for me to understand it when I was active duty in the military, right? So when COVID happened, that's when the the even the word crypto, like that like you know opened up a lot. It maybe it was like right before COVID. The time frame is kind of like it's weird because I feel like all of that like from September of 2019 to like March of 21, like it's just all a blur. So I really got to think back. I think cuz I remember getting Dogecoin. I remember getting Dogecoin before it ran. It had a massive run. I didn't buy it super cheap. Like there's plenty of people who bought Dogecoin. Like I know somebody personally that um they had like it was worth a couple of dollars, and then at some point, if he would have held on to his supply, he would have had well over $275,000, and he ended up selling it all when it was like 10K, when the value was worth 10K. Ah, okay, okay. Who introduced me? It was the government first of all who was trying to give me their seized Bitcoin instead of paying me for being medically like when I was supposed to get that lump sum of money for exiting under medical conditions. Um, what else? What else? What else? Dogecoin, Ethereum, XRP, Cardano. I think those are the only ones that like I like put money into at the end of 2019, just because that I seen them show up there, like on the market cap. I think it was totally. I mean, I didn't even really know about Hex. Like I saw Hex on the market cap chart thing before, or on the market cap placement on, was it Coin Market Cap? And I was like, what is that? And then I never came back to it until base damn near it was like probably almost a year after it launched. Yeah, C19 was C19 was so weird because like I said, that's when I I remember getting briefed on C19. I remember getting briefed on it, and I remember sitting there and I did not pay attention to any of the briefings that they had, and that was in September of 2019. Like there was like September, October of 2019 because I was in they call it TAPS class, which is basically like a class that you have to do before you get out of the military. It's like a class that ensures like you're not going to be a complete fucking screw up when you get out. Like you have a plan and stuff like that. So I remember that was part of like my class was getting briefed on that stuff, and I just was like, I don't care about this. Like I was gonna get out like relatively soon at that point, so I just yeah I didn't care. See, that would have been cool times if I was listening to RH in 2017. That would have been cool. Hopefully, hopefully I would have picked up on it and I didn't assimilate into the crowd of hatred like without understanding it. People just go straight to hatred. So I hope I wasn't one of those people because I mean I was still young. Like so I maybe I would have saw it for what it was, but again, I don't know. There is a lot of military people in our ecosystem too. That's funny. So someone was like, dude, there's so many like all the why are all the KOLs like ex-military? This has definitely got to be a CIA chain. Oh, that's funny. His early videos are good. So my favorite time frame is probably 20 on his channel. I'm talking about probably 27. No, maybe it was like 2018, 2019. It was right when he was a stat, like it was like before it was, or no, I'm sorry, it was after Bitcoin Hex. So he originally, like, this is when he started getting off of the Bitcoin name, and he just wanted to pivot right into Hex, as the branding and marketing stuff. It's good for discipline, I suppose. um I don't know. I It is, but military is like, it's like any business, man. It really is. It's like there's always politics, right? Like there's always, who do you know? How well do you know them? What do you have on them? Right? Like there's just the military is the same shit, except for, if you're lower rank and you have literally no voice. That's basically it. You just don't have a voice. Even like someone like me, like I was able to get to, I was at E4 before I got out, and most people don't even make it to E4, their first their first contract. And even then, I was getting shit on because, like, I thought, oh well, I'm an E4, so that's got to account for something. No, because even though I was an E4, there's still like three pay grades above me around me at all times, and I'm younger, so even if I am a higher ranking than you, how are you? Are you going to listen to me? Are you going to take an order from me when I look like, you know, Justin Bieber at the time? Like, no. Proper education from RH because I was a Bitcoin maxi at that point. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is a good thing about RH's content is he's able to deliver the message in a way that you're actually going to want to sit there and listen, and that's hard. That's really hard to do if you're an average individual, because the average individual just doesn't. There's no depth, right? Like there is no, like, um, going over the theory why something would work versus why something wouldn't work. People are just, they're not, either they don't want to pay attention to that stuff, or they can't. Like there is nothing about their attention span that can even, begin to sit there and watch even an hour video. That's why short form content is, it's becoming more popular, just because people just have brain rot itis. Like they don't want to sit there for an hour. Like, I noticed about this community, we will, like, pulse chain people will sit there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and watch a whole stream and know everything about that stream. Versus someone, if you're somebody here and you're like, oh, XRP, XRP is gonna replace the global financial system. I feel so bad for people who, they man, they're just, they have no clue. I feel bad. I really do. Never saw anyone stream for 4 hours like ours. Yeah, me either. When I went back to his videos and I saw that they were live streams, I'm like, holy shit, dude! This dude's doing like three. He's doing a 2 hour one, like it ain't nothing. Like 2 hours is actually short for his live streams. Like, I mean, RH back in the day was busting those 4 hour ones. I'm like, how does he not get up to piss? How is he? How is he just sitting here? I hope we get some of those streams though. The new streams, the streams where, he's sitting there and he's conversing with people live. That'll be funny. That'll be so funny. So many people would get blocked immediately too. So, People should think about that. Like, even if he did live stream, and let's say you're not blocked, if you say anything in that live stream that is even the slightest of critical, you are out of that. You are out of here. You are blocked. You are never commenting in his live stream ever again. And you waited, let's say you waited years too. The lawyers is one is the most amazing about 6 hours. Yeah, I really enjoyed him and McAfee too. That one was a really good interview for like the libertarian people, right? Like that one was good. I wish they would have got into a little bit more than they did because I felt like, rightfully so, by the way, they were just giving each other flowers. But I felt like there was like a lot of that interview was ego stroking the first 20 minutes, and then like there was only 25 minutes left basically after that. So he didn't have mods back then. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Even more so now though. If you're critical at all in those live streams and the future live streams, pack it up, make a new account because it wasn't long enough. That interview was probably the only interview that I looked at and went, that could have been longer for sure. Like even him and Roger Veer, like that was, yeah, like Roger Veer was like that one was what he had two interviews and they were both like 2 hours long plus. Oh, somebody said nice rebranding. Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, he did. They were both pretty good too. Um, the more recent one he did with Roger, though, I think that one was probably my favorite. Not the first one where they were kind of going back and forth about, um, like you know, bigger blocks versus smaller blocks, stuff like that about Bitcoin. Like the first one was cool, but I really feel like the second one, um, RH came from a more empathetic place where I think he saw after that first interview Roger really wasn't like he's not like a harm to Bitcoin or anything like that. He was just trying to like make what Bitcoin was set out to do better. That's all that's all he was doing. um, and then I felt like the second interview they did, second around, I think Roger was more accepting of Hex than I probably would have. From the first interview, I would have thought, Roger would have pushed back on Hex a little bit just because, but he was very respectful and he didn't, and he actually likes it. Yeah, a lot of respect was shown too. Yep, yep. I'm excited to see what's next. I really am. I don't know. I feel a little bit differently because to an extent I understand what you're saying. At the same time though, he was correct that a mass majority of people, they need it in order to listen to what he was saying. He did need to add a little bit of like fu to his like motor. And I honestly like there was a to a point I was like, okay, this might be a little bit overkill. uh Especially like later on down like into early 23, or was it early 23 or late 22? That's when I was like, okay, I'm not a fan of this version. Actually, some of the more recent streams, that he did after 2021, I was like not I wasn't a big fan of because I just think that it was necessary, but I think I agree with you in the sense of he's at his best when he is talking like that though, like when he is being more or I should say less confrontational and more um, about the point itself, and instead of the ad hominem attacks on top of it, mixed with a little bit of like your express, that annoyed and I'm too good for you expression. Some of that was a little bit off putting, but I understand why he needed to do it. So I'm not. It is what it is. Yeah, it still is. It still is. Go look at CoinGecko. Tell me what Hex's market cap is. Doesn't matter. Any chain you want to go to, ETH or Pulse. They don't even give it to you. They don't even rank Hex. They don't even rank uh, Pulse. They have Wrapped Pulse ranked, but the other coins like the Hexes, PulseX, not even ranked because their market cap is there. It's not even there anymore. Like if someone's got to resubmit that information to them. Yeah, somebody said the rebranding looks nice and they liked it. That's cool. Sweet. I'm trying to front run the obsession people will have with GTA 6, and hopefully I'll catch the algorithm a little bit. They are self. You're absolutely right. Yeah, that is. I agree with that. I agree. He did just fine, perfectly fine destroying people without them. So yeah, I agree. You know what else? Like, so I had this camera. I still have it, and I was gonna use it because I got all excited because there was a couple stuff that I needed to grab for it. Like, I needed to grab some HDMI adapter to go to my laptop and all that good stuff. So I finally got it, and then turns out that um, I needed another battery. I didn't have two batteries. I only had one battery for whatever reason. So got the other battery. Was excited to use it. I got the lens and everything, and then for whatever reason, it's just not fucking working. And I have to continue to use this 1080p HD video camera. Like this is like very basic. Like this isn't this isn't quality. Like the quality you should have seen, man. I had it going for a little bit, and the quality was just the resolution was awesome. It hid the background better on my green screen, all that stuff. Like there was it was really cool. I don't know what happened. Isn't that so annoying when you got like $1,000 camera setup and you're just trying to link it to your laptop to live stream, and it's like giving you all it should be a lot easier than I'm making it sound, but it's been a pain in the ass, and I think to be honest with you, I think something's wrong with the camera at that point. Yeah, I mean it's okay. It's okay. And it actually I was thinking about this too. It kind of it kind of goes well with the type of resolution you would see on GTA. So there is a little bit of it where I'm like, I kind of want to double down into that whole thing, but yeah, I don't know. I really want to use that camera though because it's stuff. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I used to use it for I used to do photography, and I used to do video recordings of like of what's it called, of transformations and stuff like that, and it's a really good camera. It still is. Like it's a, I mean, it's not. This isn't like a $6,000 camera setup, but I mean, shit. I mean, it's definitely like $1,200. Like, and that's probably me underselling it. Like the lens was a lot of money too. I'm crap at tech. Yeah, I mean, I'm really just starting to get adjusted into this whole field. You should have seen me opening up OBS for the first time. It was like a chimpanzee discovering like it was like a chimpanzee discovering like some new innovation. And I'm just like sitting here, just like slowly clicking. Yeah, I looked like a caveman just trying to do this stuff, and of course like whenever something doesn't have like whenever I can't get something on the first try, I get so fucking irritated. It literally looks like a primate's just about to lash out too, because but MetaMask, all warnings from this message and others should be resolved. And then Richard said thanks 3 hours ago. That's cool. That's really bullish that MetaMask isn't. They're not being assholes anymore. It seems like, which is good. It's good that MetaMask isn't going out of their way to be douches anymore. Even though like their wallet sucks. Like MetaMask's wallet sucks. So well, I appreciate it. That is one thing I've noticed. Like, and I don't want to be this guy to like throw shots, but it's like w- there's there's people that do really well at presenting to the community, but I want to try to. I don't want to go at, like I don't want to be in another community, obviously. But like sometimes it's good to like if you want more people to join the cult, you have to talk to other people outside the cult, and I don't think like not too many of us are good at that, and I want to try to get better at that. Yeah, Internet Money Wallet's a better wallet. So is Rab. If Rabby wasn't being a cunt, it would be a better wallet. But since they decided to stop hosting the Pulse Chain network on their wallet, it's screw you. IM is Internet Money Wallet. I think they're those are we got a couple good dark horses coming from Pulse Chain community that can make very positive impacts in crypto in general. And I Internet Money Wallet's definitely one of them, which is good. That's a good thing. Like you should want that. Yeah, yeah. Cairo is he's a smart dude. He knows his macroeconomics. Basically implying that we were basically like on the business cycle instead of like the 4 year uh relying on what is it? It's something like the top, like everyone's main analysis was for the Bitcoin cycle is like what 12 was it, like 12 to 18 months after the halving is usually when the top is for Bitcoin. Everyone was riding off of that, right? And he was one of the ones that was looking at the macro with all of crypto and basically saying it's not the right time. I mean, so far he's been pretty accurate. So that kudos. Yeah, there's a couple of people I'd like to talk to, streaming wise. There's a couple of them. I don't want to stream with everybody though. I'm not one of those guys that I just want to stream with you to get clout. Like if I don't like you, I don't want to stream with you just to get numbers. I will pass that up if I don't like you. Or if I know about any shady things you've done on chain. Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's been pretty accurate, so I don't think Bitcoin's top is in. I think Bitcoin probably has another 1.5x left in it. I don't think Bitcoin topped. I think that would be a it would be interesting if it did, but I don't think it did. I don't think there's really anything to suggest that it has either. Because if it did top, it really wouldn't make sense to keep that Bitcoin price hovering around 84. Not really going anywhere below $84,000 going into this year. Because usually, if it were the top, you would see a lot more profit taking happen, and there just really wasn't. Not that bad. If Bitcoin ended up going, anywhere near like $74,000 going into the new year, then I would have been like, yeah, the top might have been in, but it didn't. It didn't. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like there was no retail. Retail was never here, and if they were here, they were only here selling and capitulating because price never went up. That's really the only activity retail ever had. You either have been dollar cost averaging and getting obliterated with your DCA average, or you've been capitulating. Uh, but yeah, those are the real only two things retail has been doing. You'll know retail's here when your buddy is who's not a crypto person who gets annoyed every time you bring it up, right? That it, that's when he starts to want to get in, and he's like, "Oh, I heard you talking about Pulse Chain before. You want to tell me more about it?" I was like, "Yep, give me 1 second." You know what I would do? You know what I would say? I'd be like, "Yep, give me 1 second. Just let me." Yeah, yeah. No, I got you. See, this is what you do. You oh, wait a minute. This is what you do. You oh, see, I was gonna try to be funny. I was gonna try to be funny and pull up the Internet Money Wallet and showcase me selling as I'm talking to the person. But yeah, that's basically what you should do. Not financial advice. But when your friend who gets annoyed with you, who is like about every time you talk about crypto, he just immediately like he just pivots from that discussion and starts talking about something else every time. When that guy is calling you, Bitcoin topped for sure. Bitcoin had topped by then. Yeah. I wasn't around for 2017, but looking back at that cycle, there's pretty smart people that suggest that we're going to probably mirror that cycle rather than mirroring the cycle we went last cycle with altcoins. Which I don't know. I think it just really depends, right? Like if if uh, if altcoins went on the same run that Bitcoin did in 2017, or that type of action, let's say Ethereum, which Ethereum basically is all of altcoins. If Ethereum does well, and Ethereum goes above $10,000, everything's popping off like crazy too. The euphoria will just be too much to handle. Like people, man, there's gonna be a lot of people who sell way too early too. There's gonna be that guy who's like, "Oh my gosh, Ethereum's at $8,000. Oh my gosh, this is the cycle top," and then they probably missed out on another 2x on Ethereum's price. I'm telling you, Ethereum ain't done. Ethereum is nowhere near where it probably is going to be. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't. I would. I wouldn't be surprised if Ethereum went well over like $10,000, did a slight pullback, and then really ripped up from there. Like if it did a move where you know it went to like $9,000, and then it pulled back, right? Like just like everything, Bitcoin had already made its top, and since Ethereum only went to $9,000 or $10,000, people think that's the top, and then you know when people sell and they start to look at price and they go, well, Ethereum is still like at $6,200. Like what? And then boom, you know, shoots all the way to like 12 to 15 or whatever. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, here's the thing that I find amazing is there really wasn't a premise for Hex doing a 10,000x last cycle, and it did a 10,000x. You would have thought that that moment alone would have made people just permanently bullish on Richard Hart, on his ecosystem, right? But for some odd reason, there's like this conception that because it happened before, it can't happen again. There's no way, right? I don't think so. I think everyone's going to be very, very surprised on where the hex price goes this cycle, along with PulseX, along with Pulse, along with INC, PTGC, UFO, etc. A lot of people are going to be very thrown off at where the cycle tops are for these coins. Yeah, I mean, if Ethereum can't make it to $10,000 this time around, and then it goes through another bear market, I don't think and I don't think that'll happen. But let's say it did. That shouldn't be like a catalyst to say Ethereum's dead. That's an indicator of like when it does want to run, it is going to price a lot of people out. So it might not even have the grace period of going to you know 15, 20,000, right? Like it could just scoot right past you, go straight to 30 grand. Then what? Then what are you going to do, right? Like how many people are going to be buying Ethereum then? Really none. And that's kind of like that's their whole strategy is to run the price up to make it look really 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 great, They're using everyone who's buying it now as exit liquidity. They're taking profits off the top, and then the cycle continues. People see the asset going down, they capitulate until they're done, until it's not them selling anymore. Now it's just up to the big wigs to maintain and hold the fort down with the chart. And there you go. Yeah, why wouldn't it happen again? That's the thing. It's like the hardest thing is already out of the way. It happened before. If if a founder says price can go to 10,000x and it does, why do you think when he says it again in the second cycle on his own chain, mind you, they he said something. It was so bullish. I remember it was probably the most bullish thing he said all year. He said they screamed scam when Hex did a 10,000x. I wonder if they'll do it again. Like from that, you should just be like, okay, I don't have enough money in this ecosystem. I should probably look at this chart that's been going forever down and just look at it and be like, you know what? You hate it now, but you're gonna miss this chart in like 2 years. That's how I look at it. I'm like, I'm gonna miss these prices in 2 years because I'm gonna look back and be like, man, we're never seeing those prices again. The whole time you were fighting it, you were like, it sucks. Nothing's going up. And then you're left with the same. Like it's the same thing as like with Bitcoin. It's like you didn't buy Bitcoin, you thought it was a scam, or maybe you didn't know about it, but that was the best time to buy it. Same thing with Ethereum. Ethereum is a joke. It's a scam. It's a security. It's significantly less than Bitcoin. It'll never get to the price range as Bitcoin. And then Ethereum is following that same adoption pattern as Bitcoin. Basically, I mean, the only thing that's different is you have a pro crypto administration that's setting in the framework in order for those hedge funds and stuff like that to shill it to retail. Because right now, the institutional investors, they're not really shilling crypto to. I mean, they are, but it's like very low allocation still. The people who have a lot of money tied up in those hedge funds, though, like the high key investors, right? They're they're getting coached. They've been getting coached and groomed this entire time to look at accumulation of crypto differently. You know, instead of speculating on it for a lottery ticket play, this is infrastructure now. Like Ethereum is the infrastructure, um, and it being so cheap over the past year, when everyone thought 2 years ago it would be at least a 2x from where it's at right now. That's bullish because when they do want to send that price ticker up, it's going to go really high. I don't think it'll just do like limp dick gains. Yeah, it was the best tweet he ever had of this year by far. I don't know why that tweet didn't rally the troops, but I guess price action will. So I guess we'll see. Guess we'll see. Even if like 1,000x, like I'm trying to comprehend 1,000x. Like I'm looking at it from my portfolio only. If my portfolio 1,000x, I don't even know I don't even know because I'm just doing like I rounded it up like my portfolio times 1,000. That math is pretty easy to figure out when you do those equations often, and you're like, oh my god. And the amount of hex I was able to get during this time too was just it was so awesome. Like that is one of the biggest things I'm grateful for in 25 was like I just truly did not think my hex bags could get as fat as they are. Like that if I had one coin in 25 that I was like accumulating with like urgency, it was Hex. It was between Hex, PulseX, and then my DCAing into PTGC and UFO, like second half of the year. First half of the year, I was more focused on getting PulseX and Hex. Um, but then, like, even when prices came down to where they did, like, Hex, PulseX, Pulse, like, I just got everything. So why not, right? But I am very happy. Like that was one thing that I went into last over this last year. I was like, man, I really don't have enough Hex. Now I got plenty, so it is what it is. Don't worry, most of it is not liquid, or is it? Hmm. No, no, I got a decent amount of stakes. To be honest with you, I don't really even care what Hex goes to this cycle because most of my Hex stakes are not for this year. So of course I'm saying that. No, no, but to be honest, in all seriousness though, like if Hex really is successful, right? You buy into that narrative. Why wouldn't you try to accumulate T shares then? Because they're already slashed. Like I remember when I made a stake in 24, like that yield was crazy. Even in 2024, that yield was crazy. It wasn't enough to really do any damage to the chart with if you had rolling stakes or whatever, but it was just the yield was way more. It was way more in abundance. And then when RH basically just cut the inflation by 97%, you know what that indicated to me? The Hex's inflation being hit like that told me that we are going to have a pretty expensive Hex this cycle, or relatively, in this time pocket of the next 4 years, it's going to be the price is going to be high enough to where people will probably understand why the yield was slashed like that. Sentiment slowly improving. Copy the station. Yeah, that's good. I wasn't here that early, by the way. I didn't get into Pulse Chain. I didn't get into Pulse Chain until probably like just under a year after it launched. So actually, I got wrapped Pulse in late 2023, and then I think I waited, and then price moved up a little bit. It did come up a little bit in 2024, I believe, is when I took a lot of funds from Solana. Was it Solana? Yeah, in 2024, and I bridged in whatever I had. Which, by the way, if I look back at that moment and see how much supply I got for the amount of USD that I, basically swapped whatever money I made being a degenerate in Solana and stuff, like, man, if I would have just waited. If I would have just waited, man, oh my goodness. That would have been crazy. But it is what it is. You live and you learn. Ugh. Getting over this cold I've had for a little bit now. I'm doing pretty well though. Like, I mean, from a couple of days ago when I could barely get out of bed to now, we're solid. We're getting better. He said, I had a lot of ETH at one point. My ETH, my ETH bag is respectable for, I guess, the bracket I'm in society. It's not bad. I had way more Solana. Oh my gosh, I had so much Solana. I had no idea. This is I didn't have so much Solana because I was like a prophet where I was like, I need to buy Solana's lows. No, I bought Solana because I was wanting to chase meme coins and stuff like that. And then it just so happened that, a couple lucky trades and, while the Solana price is going up too, you still got the better of that ratio at the end of the day. And then there was a couple other coins that I made decent on. Like, yeah, if you're familiar with Solana at all, um, the Tate coins when he launched, like Andrew Tate and his team, I guess launched like three coins out of their Hustler University. Like so, I caught wind of it because I knew somebody in in the Hustlers University thing that he has, and so yeah, it was pretty early on. I can't even say the one coin. I can't even do it. If we weren't online right now, I would probably say it, but I'm not going to say it. But it was one of those coins where it had a explicit name to it, and it did pretty well. At least from what I got in. I mean, it took a shit after, but that was a hell of a run. That was a really exciting beginning of summer from what I remember in 24. Because I remember thinking on it, and I remember we went on like we literally took a vacation after that. And then once I got back from vacation, that's when I was about ready to start school, and that's when while I was at home a lot on my computer, that's when RH videos started to pop up because obviously the algorithm knew that I had Pulse and eHex and all that. So the thing is with Solana is like the KOLs are paid to like it. There is a lot of like VCs that got allocation, and there's a ton of people that they have connections within, different, venture capitalist groups, and you know, they'll reach out to KOLs. Like, if you have a high enough following, and it's like it's basically like things that it's like the opposite of what RH would like. It's very centralized, nothing but like VC vultures and stuff. Uh, and then it all changed. Like I guess fate brought me to Pulse Chain. Long term, I think so too. I think long term, there isn't going to be a whole lot of people here though. Like when I say when I say Hex price is probably going to go really high this cycle, it probably will. And with that being said, on the way there, there's going to be a lot of people you thought would never go anywhere. Are You're not going to hear a peep from them ever again because the Hex price is going to go that high. So, and I think it will go multiple dollars too. Like I'm not some little, you know, bitch up here saying, oh, if Hex can just get to 10 cents. No, it's gonna go far past. I don't even think there's gonna be a point in time where people are gonna look at the price chart and go, I looked, Hex was like 50% of a penny. I looked back, it was 5 cents. I looked again, it was 50. Like it's gonna be very like it's gonna get very dangerous for people who think they're gonna trade themselves into profits. Like, you know, and they're gonna probably jeet their entire supply. I mean, even a $3 hex, there's going to be so many unstakes, emergency unstakes at $1, even 50 cents. Yeah, that's how it works, though. It's like you're going to have long and boring and to the sideways down, but that's just time to accumulate, and then when it's time to go up, uh, whether you take profits or whatever, you stop DCAing as hard, and you're letting your supply ride out and whatever. That's like the whole concept of it's like a staircase basically. Like there isn't like random, like we have dumping now, but to the point to impact the price like severely to the point where it would be that can't happen. Like Richard having most, well, allegedly the OA having most of the supply and never selling a coin. Um, People who have supply that's larger than most, yeah, they'll make a dent in the chart, but they won't be able to do that forever. That's right. Yeah, like, and that's why I'm a proponent of staking hex. Like, I don't think when someone says I got like they're like I just want all my hex liquid. I think they're screwing themselves terribly because they will get diluted over time. Like someone who someone who had less supply and staked for a longer time is going to probably do better than the person with more supply and that was liquid. In a shorter amount of time than they probably even assume. Especially if you met your terms and conditions. And that this is why I like PTGC is because in a way I wish that you were able to get to your yield in hex. Like I think waiting until however long it is, like I get it, like it's an amazing concept, but some people like it's just they want to be able to be like, okay, well, I got my main principle, that's not going anywhere. All right, I want to take my yield off the table. Or if like price does get to a point where it's like it's getting really to the point where you're like, okay, I want to sell most of my supply now. I think this is good enough for me or whatever. If you want to unstake and unlock, you're only getting hit in PTGC with like 30% penalties. So, but with Hex, it's like basically under anything under that halfway mark, like you're getting screwed out of your principal too. So, yeah, I don't know. I, I think whatever RH coin you're in, you're bound to do well. That's basically point blank and simple. Doesn't matter if you're an only INC or only Pulse or only Pulsex or only Hex, like you're gonna do well, like comparatively to someone who's holding a bag of Cardano, like lol. Yeah. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I know there's only 4 people in here, but and if you did your part, thank you. I appreciate it. If you haven't, shame on you. I've been sitting here giving you entertainment, so the least you can do is help my YouTube channel get through the algorithm. So much appreciated if you do so. Yeah, I never have emergency end staked either. There's no point. If anything, like those stakes that you had prior to 2025, when that yield was cut, you probably should want those still. Take it easy. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good conversation. I appreciate it a lot. Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone tuning in with me too. Just kicking it. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna. I told, didn't I say like an hour and a half ago I was almost done? Like I wanted to leave. See how I lied there? Well, what do we say, four people? What do we say? Are we done? Let's see. There we go. Sleeper, sleeper right here. INT is gonna jump up and just shock the hell out of everybody. I can already see it. People think this is the forever. Hold on. People think this is the forever down dump token right here. No way. There's something here. I don't know what it is with INC, but there's some use case that is not implemented yet that I do think is probably bound to happen at some point. Just don't know when. I got my eye on INC. Like you know, I mean, just recently it wasn't. I mean, didn't it go to like $5 at some point? It went close. No, it was like right here. I don't know. There was some point where I felt like INC went like above $3.50, but maybe I'm just tripping. Very undervalued right now. Pulse. Very undervalued. The 6 month. Yeah. That's about as undervalued as Pulse is probably going to get from this point out. But who knows? I could be wrong too. Oh man. think that is probably going to be it for me. Great stream. I was on here for a while too, so I don't feel bad for ending it right now. But thank you guys. Um, I appreciate you. I'm gonna try to do more of these, but as of right now, things are just kind of meh. ProveX sacrifice ended. Um, that was pretty much the only thing that was keeping this ecosystem. I felt like down. Um, so I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. Um, Again, bullish on Pulse Chain. I think the macro, just crypto in general, is going to do really good. Probably, it probably won't last all year. Like we could have like a really quick euphoric altcoin season where Bitcoin finally tops, and then the domino effect happens, cascade effects of capital start to happen. People, maybe they are up enough in profits in the main coins to where they go into speculation mode again. Who knows? Maybe they traded Hex before, did really well. Now they're coming back, and maybe they don't even know about Pulse Chain yet. Maybe they're like, "Oh, what's this?" And then or you just got a really wealthy man pumping the shit out of the chain. Either or, I'm fine with. Either or. If some anonymous person wants to tornado cash ETH and pump the bags, I'm here for it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you're somebody who believes that there's going to be natural adoption, right? I hope for that too. So, all right. I think this is me wrapping it up now. So, remember, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Um, and what else was I going to say? Oh well, can't remember. Well, that seems to be it for me. Everyone enjoy your evening. I hope I was good entertainment for the time being, but time to go. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Uh, hope everyone has a good night. See ya.